Today we're talking about new construction during the market shift. Let's go. What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to another edition of Living in Coastal Delaware. I'm Matt Lunden, your host and favorite Coastal Delaware realtor. And as I mentioned in the intro, today we're going to be taking a look at the current market shift here in 2022 and what that may mean if you are looking at new construction. For those of you who are new to the channel, we put out content each and every week discussing all things Coastal Delaware and Coastal Delaware real estate. If that's content that you'd like to see some more of, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below so you can stay in the loop every Wednesday when we put out new content. Now let's dive in. As long as you haven't been living under a rock or living off the grid, you've most likely heard everyone talking about the real estate market and more specifically the rising interest rates. While it is certainly not a secret to anyone that we're no longer experiencing the same market conditions that we saw last year and earlier this year in 2022, the market here in Coastal Delaware is still very active. I've received a few calls over the last few weeks from some of you that follow the channel, and a common question among those phone calls has been, hey, we're looking at new construction. What impact is this market change going to have on new construction, and what's it going to do for us? So we've discussed new construction on the channel before and what you need to know before getting into new construction, but this video is strictly going to look at the market shift that we're going through and the effect it has on new construction should you want to go that route. For starters, obviously I'm biased here, but I advise that you always have a real estate agent in your corner, even when going through new construction. Yes, I know you can walk in and deal straight with the sales rep, but just know it doesn't cost you anything additional to have an agent in your corner, and the builder doesn't reduce your sales price if you don't have one. It's just important to have somebody there that's been through the process before. I've helped about 10 clients purchase new construction homes this year, and I can say that I've caught things for buyers that otherwise would have caused them big headaches if they just signed what the builder put in front of them. So again, I just think it's very important to have someone there fighting for you who's been through the process, more than one or two times. I'm sure you've probably maybe bought new construction before, but just make sure that you've got somebody there that's got your back. Now onto the market and how it affects new construction. So I've put together my top 3 things to consider when looking at new construction during this market shift that you've heard so much about. You're going to want to stick around for number 3. It's by far the most important. First off, and really to start things here, as we discussed in previous videos, we're at a time when we currently have the highest prices we've ever seen, and now we're also pairing that with very high interest rates in comparison to what they have been recently. Don't be the person that says, I remember when we had 18% interest rates. I know they were higher before. You could also get a home for like a handshake and a book of stamps back then. So I'm simply talking about the current situation and how over the last year we've seen interest rates double. But new construction typically comes with a higher price tag than resales because obviously it's new, it's brand new. You're the first one living there. But also because you get to pick what goes into the home. So you can customize that home most times with most builders. You can customize that home a lot more than you can with a resale. With a resale, you're going to buy the home and then you're going to have to make the changes afterwards. Where in a new construction facility or capacity, you get to make all those changes and facilitate all those changes prior to moving into the home with the builder. So you could end up paying a lot more for the home originally, which means you're going to be building something with a higher price tag with those elevated interest rates. And the increased sales price on average with new construction is just, again, one item to consider and really look at because you're going to be paying more monthly now because you're building a more expensive home. Number 2 is going to be the time it takes to build a new home. It varies greatly by community, but you could be waiting 18 to 24 months from contract date to moving in, depending on the community that you choose. So that's a long time. That leaves a lot of unknowns out there that things could change in the market. And while that time's not really the average that we see from many builders, I think that average is probably closer to 8 or 10 months. it's still a good amount of time for things in the market to change. So if you plan on getting financing, you can't lock your interest rate until you're about 60 days from closing or 90 days from closing. So that interest rate could change quite a bit. Now, it could change either direction, but the recent trend has been for those to go up, which means from contract date, you could have one monthly payment in mind. You get to closing and all of a sudden that monthly payment is much higher than you had originally planned for. I've got some folks that I know that signed a contract last fall, and when they signed it, they were at about a 3% interest rate. Now they're staring down the barrel of about an 8% interest rate. So that plays a big role in affordability and what you guys can do with that money. It takes away a lot of fun money that way when you're spending so much in your house. And then, not only the interest rates, but you got the concern over what home prices will do in that time period. Are you now locked into a price for a home that, all of a sudden, hey, they're selling homes in this community for a lot less than what I'm closing on? What the heck? You definitely want to make sure that you're just going through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Number 3, this is going to be the most important factor, and it's really actually a combination of the previous 2 items we just discussed. But the most important factors to consider when considering new construction and which builder to align yourself with and to trust to build your home, you just want to make sure that you're reading everything very thoroughly. So let's take just a little bit further dive into this. Just stick with me for a moment. With some concerns of unknowns in the market from some buyers right now, it's important to make sure you're fully reading the contract and asking the sales reps, how they handle price changes in the community and, what they'll do if the prices change. We've recently had some builders come out and say that from now until the end of the year, if you sign a contract with them and their base pricing goes down in that community prior to starting your construction, they'll actually reduce that base price for you as well. That's huge. There's only one builder that I know of that also went as far as saying, hey, if the incentives get better in that community after you go under contract, we'll actually allow you to take advantage of those better incentives as well. So you could end up, depending on the community, you could end up paying less than you are under contract for, depending on what happens in the market. Obviously, this is just an effort to make you guys as buyers feel more comfortable with what you're buying into, and to make sure that you have protections on your side should the market change any more than it already has. Certainly an unprecedented move to see builders doing that. They typically like to hold on to their money as best they can. Now, I mentioned all these good things to follow with the negative side of things. Again, do yourself a favor and read the contract. While most builders will not reduce your sales price should the community prices go down after you're under contract, there are some that will not even lock your price should things go the other way and prices increase. So the majority of builders make sure that they protect their bottom line at all costs, and they're not going to eat any type of cost increase, so they just pass it on to the buyer. So just make sure that if you decide to go in unrepresented for whatever the personal reasons that you may have are, just make sure that you're reading through everything. Make sure you know what you're signing before you sign it. You don't want to be the person that is, having a headache a year from now when you finally close on the home and realize that, you signed something that you shouldn't have. For those of you that are looking into new construction or maybe resales and want to make sure that you have someone on your side looking out for your best interest, all my information is down below in the description and here on the screen. I would love the opportunity to help you guys and make sure that you're protected and understand the process fully so that you know what you're signing and you know what you're going through. If you've gotten this far in the video, obviously you like the content a little bit. So I would appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button down below. And then if you really rock with me, do me a favor, hit that notification bell next to it. That'll keep you in the loop each week when we go live discussing all things Coastal Delaware. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.